today I'm building in Glimmerbrook, and this time it is for a collab build. So lately I've been working on a Glimmerbrook save. This is not for that, this is separate from that. This is a collab that was hosted by Bb.momin and features a few really amazing fantasy and witchy builders in the Sims community. I feel like it's really hard to find that sort of niche sometimes because I don't know, it's just been difficult for me to find it. So I admire all of the builders who are in it. So it includes, of course, Bb.momin, who I just said, Samabrigu, SimlySash, and Anna Sims builds. They're all amazing people, and you should definitely check them out. I know them all from Instagram, but I do know that SimlySash is on YouTube. Um, so I'll link all of these socials and stuff below and the other ones. I know Anna Sims Build started streaming on Twitch and stuff too. So if you love witchy builds, cozy builds, anything that's magical and enchanting, they're amazing. So you should definitely check them all out. As for my build, you could kind of see that I started this one a little bit different. I didn't record me doing the terrain and stuff because I was worried about how long it was going to take me to figure out the terrain. Normally I also have a reference picture that I would pull up and show you, but I didn't have one for this. I kind of just went into it with a picture in my head of what I wanted, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to even execute that correctly. So I did not record me doing the planning stage of it. I just knew that I wanted all of I wanted rocks around it, I wanted it raised up, and I wanted a round tower in the front kind of hanging off of the rocks, which I didn't really it didn't become that, but that's what I wanted. You probably saw me struggling to try and connect them and stuff. I wanted them to be on different levels, so I wanted you to be able to walk up to the tower. And I'm realizing now that I probably could have done that if I just changed some things around, except the interior would have been a nightmare because it was already a little bit difficult. It's pretty small inside, even though it is a fairly large build. Um, yeah, I think that would have just made it 10 times harder to map out a floor plan for it. I also haven't really just kind of went with my own sort of shape for a build in a long time. I normally have been relying on reference pictures for the shape because anytime I would do one without it, I always thought that they looked a little bit weird and a little funny. Uh, this one I think turned out pretty good. Uh, when I was looking at it, I was just like, okay, this looks a lot better than all of the other ones that I kind of just had to come up with a shape for. And I think it's gotten easier because I was building a lot more. I feel like this build kind of reminds me of my Bella Goth redo, with the accents I picked and stuff. So maybe I was just inspired by a lot of the other stuff that I was doing that was using reference pictures, and so it turned out a little bit easier. I mostly just wanted pieces hanging off. I didn't want it to look too blocky. Um, which does make it difficult for kind of furnishing and stuff. It is, I think, it's a 2-bedroom house. And the downstairs is kind of half of it's taken up by a giant cauldron, which probably wasn't the smartest decision when I was mapping out the floor plan. That was the first thing I did. I was like, okay, I want the cauldron right by the front door as soon as you walk in. And I think that made the rest of the house a lot harder to figure out. And I also was doing some sort of castle walls. I feel like I wanted this to seem like a castle. I don't know if it is a castle. Every time I am gonna label something as a castle, I feel like I shouldn't because I'm like, this isn't this giant stone castle, and I'm not really sure what um like classifies as a castle and if this could, but I wanted to use the castle wall looking pieces, and I end up using them in the front of the house too, where that big round roof piece is, because I put it there and I was like, wow, that looks nice. And then I realized that when you raise up a build with the foundation, all of the round roof pieces clip into the house and you cannot put anything down because all you see is a roof. And that's something that I've known has been in the game for a while, but it doesn't stop me from making the same mistake every single time I build. And so here I am just changing it. I was like trying to play around with different roof pieces that I kind of cut out because it didn't matter. None of them worked anyway, and all of them looked a little funny. So I was like, I could just do the castle accent in the front and it should be fine. Um, I think I have a doorway that leads outside. I don't do anything with that area, I don't think. I guess I'll find out if I even put a door at some point while I'm watching this because I built this probably like a month ago, I want to say, and then I finished it this week because um I do exteriors really quickly and then it takes me a while to do the interior. And so I'll definitely I'll have to like see what I end up doing. I liked like stacking these windows and stuff to create almost custom windows. I feel like at the time I had seen something like this, and so I wanted to try it out. And I don't know if I had seen something from like a reference picture, if I had seen something from someone's Sims build. I cannot remember. Like, if I remember or if I like come across it, I'll credit it like where I can because I can't remember. But I feel like I didn't come up with this on my own. I definitely think that I had seen something that made me want to stack windows to create my own windows, and the Strangerville ones really work for it. Um, in my Glimmerbrook save file that I'm working on that's different from this, I really regret not picking Strangerville as one of the packs because for that one I was limiting sort of like to a handful of packs just so that like more people could like access it if they want to, and it doesn't use like little like one or two items from like a bunch of packs that are useless. um so I regret not picking Strangerville because I love these windows and I love how it looks on this style. Um, this build fits in really well with sort of the colors and like the atmosphere I was going for with my save file. Except for this lot, I need a bigger house for what I have planned for my save. But now there's other options. So if you are looking for a new Glimmerbrook layout and stuff, you can go to each of our galleries and download them. So also I'll find the gallery IDs for everybody as well. I feel like there must be a hashtag that we're gonna use for the collab, and so I'll also put the hashtag in the description because it's Saturday and I'm posting this on Monday and I didn't see a hashtag, and so I kind of have to like I guess I'll wait or I'll ask before I post, and then I'll add things as I go. So if you watch this and all the information isn't like yet listed, it might just be taking me some time to kind of gather everything for it. But I was really happy using these like different wallpapers for it. I love the what is growing together, I think. The growing together weathered shingles. Those are like that's like one of my favorite wall paints that has been like recently added to the game. I feel like it's underrated. I feel like I remember when I was watching like I watched someone talk about the pack and they did not like that wallpaper and I was just like, "But why?" It's like really really pretty. I really like that one. And so I'm happy to have been able to use it in this build. I think that the stone looks like it's the season stone, and those two go really well together too. When I take the reshade off, it also works out okay. It doesn't look really terrifying like a lot of my builds might look if you download it without reshade. But this, I think all the colors really work together. It's like this like very grayish weathered shingle, which is not really something I ever do. I never really do gray exteriors. I always do the like half timber, and then I pair with like a stone that comes with Get Together that matches everything too. Um The time of day makes the build look a little weird too, where like the front it's a little bit darker and then the back it's like very, very bright. In-game lighting is a struggle to work with sometimes. I also go back in and I end up adding more ivy into it. I did that last night just because I forgot to do it. And then I went in and I was like, something's missing from the exterior. So I do put some more ivy in. I might still put some more stuff into the interior. In my head, that's what I'm planning on doing is cluttering just a little bit more. We'll see though. I think that it's a good amount of clutter right now, like that's in the video. I always second guess myself when I'm in like a collab or something because I feel like I need to be putting in like way more items and stuff, and like I need it to be at a certain standard in like comparison to like other people's standard because like everyone in the collab too, they like clutter beautifully. Um I don't have that level of patience, unfortunately. And I need to just like if I want to clutter that much, I really need to dedicate multiple like building sessions to like go back in and clutter like every so often to get it to that point. And so I might do it, I might not do it. If I don't do it, that's okay. I'm just sticking with my own personal building style, not comparing myself to others while I'm comparing myself to others. But anyway, I wanted this exterior to be a little bit worn down. The interior ended up not being super worn down. In my head, I was gonna have this one be very like weathered and stuff, because my Bella Goth build was very fancy and like elegant, and so this one kind of reminded me of that. And I wanted to make sure it was like really different from it, so I was wanting it to seem more like worn down. Um, the inside is very pretty though. I feel like it looks pretty fancy. um, my way of kind of like incorporating what I was originally starting with kind of the wall cracks and stuff was to just cover it in plants. I have some like ivy on the walls and stuff inside. It's not too much, but it's just some. I had kind of imagined a spellcaster whose magic is like directly related to plants and like maybe like herbalism or something. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have them like they're like studying plants around and they're growing all these magical plants and they're studying their magical properties and stuff to use in their spells and stuff. I almost just questioned if I put a cauldron in this build. Meanwhile, like 10 minutes ago, I was like, yeah, I made sure that the cauldron was at the front door, but I was second guessing myself and I was like, Megan, did you put a cauldron in a witch's house yet? Or do you have to go back and fix it? Sometimes I just don't remember what I'm saying. And in these like voiceovers, it's like even more apparent. When I was like streaming on Twitch a lot more, um, that just happened all the time anyway. It like takes a while to pick out stone like terrain paint in the game, and you could see it doesn't match very well, but I felt like the dirt of it kind of matched the like darker brick accents from like the outside world environment, and that's kind of what I was going for. I was like, all right, that matches enough. So we're gonna just leave it as that. I put some of those glowing like yellow orbs of light in the well, and I placed them around some of the rocks. I ended up placing them around a little bit more. I also had some fireflies after, which not very visible. I think in the thumbnail, I made sure that I had it at a time of day where they're kind of glowing, but you can't really see them. So it would just have to be in a reel that I end up making or a YouTube short where you could actually see all the fireflies that are around, which I only started doing because of Bb.momin. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, she like inspired the like I don't know if anyone has seen or remembers my spellcaster like build shell series. It was like all just like very white witchy builds. That uses a lot of purple accents and stuff, and those were, like, heavily inspired by one of her, like, giant houses that was, like, all white with a bunch of glowing fire flies around. I lost the word, but I found it. But yeah, here is the cauldron that I was talking about. I wanted to make sure it was right there in the front, raised up on a platform. I don't know if it's functional. I hope it is. I'll go through it and make sure too, especially for this. Sometimes my builds aren't fully play tested, some things just aren't functional. I will make sure that, because this is specifically for a collab too, I wanted to make sure that these things are functional, like the cauldron is functional. The bookcases around it, maybe not. I think they're just decorative at that point. I talked over a lot of the floor plans, so I don't know what I ended up doing. When I do these voiceovers, sometimes I look away from my screen completely. Like I was tracing the lines on my mouse pad while I was talking, and then I kind of looked up and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're narrating your build video, so maybe you should look at it." Okay, see, I didn't do anything anyway. I just deleted the walls. Um, so I have just like this open area by the stairs. The stairs took me a long time to figure out where to place them, and the downstairs was, I was nervous figuring out the floor plan for this, but I think it ended up coming out very like well, and like for most of the space to be kind of wasted with a platform, it worked. There's no living room. There's like, I think there's one little tiny chair I put in the, in quotes, living room, which is really just a cauldron room. Yeah, there's the chair. I switch out that chair. I wanted to love it. I wanted to use that chair for the first time ever, and I didn't because the color of the pillow was throwing me off because it was too bright. I don't use a lot of bright colors in most of my builds. So I ended up changing that out for a more neutral chair eventually anyway. So the interior, a lot of just like browns and wood tones. I'm using gold accents for the spandrels and stuff. I'm putting plants around everywhere, and my favorite candles from my wedding stories, which is a pack that's completely broken, but the candles are my favorite in lighting in the entire game. So have to use them most of the time. Um but yeah, I'm glad where I put the kitchen, because the stairs was a nightmare. And I'm sorry if my voice just went weird because I like moved my entire body away from my mic. I have like weird back pain right now, and I keep having to stretch my back, and then I'm moving away from my mic. But yeah, I feel like I'm happy with the level of clutter this like cauldron room ends up being. I put a bunch of little mushrooms and stuff on like the surfaces, which I really liked. I love this wallpaper in the dining room, except I don't like the orangey color of the wood that is bordering it. I looked up what the name of the bordering wood is, because in that cut of the recording, if you could tell, is a different recording. I rambled on not knowing what it was. It's wainscoting. And I don't know if I pronounced it correctly, but I feel like that's how I like heard it said. But yeah, I don't really like some of the like wood tones that come in a lot of the packs. Isn't this wall from Realm of Magic? I feel like Realm of Magic has very orangey wood swatches, which doesn't go well with a lot of different wood swatches in other packs. And the wood that I'm using, I guess it's cool toned wood. Um, Also, this is a third recording of this part voiceover, because when I got to this kitchen part, there was just a long 2-minute pause because I forgot to cut it out. And so then I was flustered about trying to catch up to like explain why it sounded different. I'm sure if I would have just picked up the recording as if nothing happened, it probably wouldn't have been noticeable, but now I'm bringing attention to it. Um, I change up some of the stuff in the kitchen after, because I really like the Realm of Magic bar. And I like the bottles that are on it, so I end up removing some of the counters and putting that in here. I really like putting this cottage living fireplace on top of the counters. I've only ever done this one other time, and it was in, I think, one of my it was my moon gazers um Witchy Cottage. It had to have been a while ago now. That was probably over the summer because I remember streaming it. Um, yeah, so I thought back to that and I decided to put that up there. It feels magical to me for some reason. Maybe it looks like a pizza oven. It's definitely not functional. I didn't test it, but I could kind of suspect that it is not functional. So here I am going back and I'm putting in some different like clutter and more like naturey stuff. This is probably my favorite little section of the house here. I'm just pulling out little items. This was me like getting in the mindset of the other builders in the collab because I was like, they would pick out all of these items and they would make a beautiful flower arrangement on a table. And so you're going to do that too. And so I did it. And it's like very simple, but it felt like a big moment in my head while I was doing it. But yeah, I changed out the chair. That chair was really cute. It was just too bright, and I think with reshade off, it also stood out a little bit too much, and I'm sure that's just me, and I don't think anyone else would have cared or really thought otherwise. But yeah, I use kind of just the same things I put on that table on this table because I liked it so much. And if I go back in to add more clutter, it would probably be to put more stuff like this around the house, to be honest. So I don't really think it's necessary. I didn't put a lot of potion bottles in here mostly because I'm getting a little tired of like putting in potion bottles in my builds for right now, just because I'm doing a whole witchy series and I'm putting so many, and I didn't want it to become the same thing over and over again in like my builds. And so I changed it a little bit, and instead I'm using my other trick that when I don't know what to do, and it's me putting plants and candles everywhere. But I feel like it's different enough. I'm using different chairs in this dining room than I normally use too. I think those ones are from Get Together. I've seen Mossy Sim use them before, and so I was like, I'm gonna use these in here because they look nice and fancy. I don't remember. I feel like I could have used those in the Bella Goth build too. I can't remember. But yeah, in here I decided to use some more like autumn colored accents in the flowers and stuff. It made sense to me in my head while I was doing it. So there's like some peachy colors and some oranges and stuff that remind me of fall. And yeah, this was the bar that I was trying to fit in. And so I put it in here because I really wanted to use it. I loved the bottles in the bar. It's really pretty. I wish we had those bottles as separate items, but we don't. So I just like I made space for it anyway. Um yeah, then I go to the upstairs, and this is something that I furnished maybe a couple days ago. So I took some breaks in between doing the furnishings in this build, and maybe that um could be noticeable in sort of like what I end up doing, because I noticed that when I'm building, like there's like stretches of like weeks where I kind of do the same thing and then I change it and then I do the same thing like with something else for a few weeks. So maybe that's something that I can notice while I'm doing this. Um, I put those two rugs together. I don't think it like works perfectly, but I was just trying not to second guess things, and I like that rug a lot and I wanted to fit in that space. And the only way that I was going to make it fit like nicely was by adding two of them. Yeah. And then this is a little tiny bathroom. I didn't put a lot of effort into the bathroom. I definitely feel like it stands out a lot compared to the rest, mostly because I feel like the walls are so bright and it's so light in that room compared to the rest of the house that feels very dark, and there's like a lot more darker wood in the other areas of the house. I guess also that's the only room that has a white wall instead of a green or a brown wall. So I think that throws me off a little bit. Um, I feel like I want to change it, but bathrooms aren't that important. I feel like I can just accept it and move on with it. Um, I used this different shade of green in this part of the house just because I didn't want it to be completely repetitive. I don't like this green wall as much as I like the lighter green that I used in the hallway and in the kitchen. This one is a little bit more vibrant, which doesn't normally match my builds very well. But I was trying to embrace it as well. Uh, there's not that many like really nice, pretty green walls in the game. I wish that we had some more, but I love that green bed that came with Horse Ranch. That's my new favorite bed. I feel like that's like the perfect shade of green. Is it like a sage green, or is that like, it's not a mint green, is it? I'm, like, getting caught up on, like, exact shades of green right now. Um, but yeah, I felt like it got easy to furnish the build once I realized that I wanted to be for a witch who was kinda studying plants and growing magical plants. Maybe they sell the magical plants around Glimmerbrook, something along the lines of that. I didn't have a sim made for this. I didn't have a story written up for it either. So I kind of was just like, I was winging it. I was like, there's no story, but I feel like I like the idea of that. So I bring that element more so in the bedroom where I have a little couch set up by the window and I have a coffee table that has like a bunch of little starter seedlings on the table with a bunch of books around. So it's kind of like they're studying and kind of experimenting with like a new sort of plant, probably. Oh yeah, this tower, I just put a bathtub in one of them. So it's like a bathtub tower. It's probably the most inconvenient, like, bathtub location in a house. But I also feel like maybe the person living here is, like, pretentious enough to have a whole tower dedicated to just a bathtub and a bunch of plants. That's because I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't wanna put another chair in it. Usually when I have towers, it's just like either books, storage, or a single chair in it. And so that time I decided to do a bathtub, mostly because the bathroom is a weird shape, so I couldn't really fit a shower or anything into the main bathroom part because it's not even in a full octagon. There's a piece cut out on the octagon. But this, I guess, is my other favorite area of the house. It's kind of like the research study area for the plants. I have different the herbalism skill that came with outdoor retreat. Those sorts of bottles I have scattered around. Um, like a package of other jars that maybe they're shipping out and selling or something like that. That's kind of what I was thinking while I was doing it. But yeah, I end up putting some planters around because I realized that for someone who really likes gardening, there isn't really an outdoor gardening space. And so I figured I would put that around. And I decided to bring in a magical element by putting all of these little things around that glows in the plants. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but I felt like it kind of was bringing the story together that I kind of decided on halfway through building this house. But yeah, that's the whole video. Make sure to check out everyone's builds for the collab, and if you want to download any of them, I will have them all listed in the description. I might have 2 videos this week. It depends if I edit the second one. So you might see me Thursday this week, but if not, I'll have a video out next Monday. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.